We've had a really good year for horror movies, and Barbarian just continues that trend. It's about a girl who goes to her Airbnb in a dodgy neighborhood only to find a guy already staying there, saying he's renting it. It's nighttime, it's raining, there's nowhere else to go. What should she do? I went into this film knowing nothing, which was great because the less you know, the better. I really love this as a premise. It's a situation you could easily see yourself getting into. The idea of someone renting the same place as you is something that could have been done, say, 20 years ago, but it plays with the Airbnb premise in a way that makes it feel quite unique from a lot of horror, and I always like it when technology is represented well on screen. I also think the initial premise is really strong, and I think it could have easily coasted on it alone, but it takes some big swings throughout the film that I won't spoil, but I really loved. I read that this film started as a writing exercise to write a character who overlooks red flags, which is interesting because so much of the horror genre is about life or death choices, whether to go into the house, to go downstairs, and this film at certain points does a great job of visually communicating that choice, whether that be how the camera tracks the character or how it lingers on certain things. It just makes everything feel so much weightier. It's like saying, this is going to have consequences later on down the line. And even though the characters here end up making the wrong decisions like any horror movie, they're written as smart characters. They take steps to avoid danger, and it's great to see characters who make like smart, proactive decisions and then the unintended consequences of them later on. It also has some really smart casting that plays with your expectations, and a stellar performance from Justin Long. He's this perfect mix of smarmy asshole but also just pathetic. He's just really, really hateable and played to perfection. And that's really helped by how restrained this film is. It does such a good job of slowly releasing information to you, giving you just enough to guess at multiple things, but for so much of it you're just quite uncertain. Which is great because it feels like this film could go in any direction, and it just kept on surprising me. This was directed by a guy who was in the comedy troupe Whitest Kids You Know, which really shows because there's some really great gags in here and the balance of them is perfect. There's always been a bit of overlap between the horror and comedy genre. I guess writing good horror and good comedy requires somewhat similar skills. It's about timing, it's about being able to escalate a bit without falling off the deep end, and especially about having to set something up and have it pay off, and you really feel that ability shine through in how tight this script is. It does such a good job of setting up dominoes in the beginning that you feel the consequences of later on. But even amongst the gags and the gore, there's a real tragedy to this story. There's a line in there that goes, everyone has their own perspective on what happened, and it has really interesting commentary on how people tend to prioritize their own perspective, or the one that benefits them the most, especially abusers. And I really like how it used the genre to dive into that. It's just really good horror with interesting social commentary, and for me packed a really emotional punch. I had a lot of fun with Barbarian, and I think it deserved all the buzz it got. I'd give this a strong 8.